Hi, good afternoon, welcome back. It's Lecky_2000 at FluxMotorsport, bringing you the Group 2 Winter Special Event races. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of technical difficulties and a couple of issues with attendance levels from some of our drivers. A couple of drivers have overslept and missed heats, so we haven't brought you those races. So essentially, what we're up to currently is we are just about to get underway with Heat 4. We've got East 1974, Porscheman 962, Luna, Zodiac and RJ2 that are due to start this race, and we're currently waiting for these guys to just get themselves ready on the grid, so we give them just another moment or two to get underway. Sorry guys, we're just waiting on one driver, won't be a moment. And it looks like we've just lost another driver, so we'll be just going with these two to find out which position these two come into. So we'll just get this underway and get the drivers to get their settings correct and sorted, because I'm sure once we've got through these group or heat stages and into the knockout stages, we'll stop getting these teething problems. So I do apologise for this, and we'll be back with you just shortly. Just let the guys get ready. So just getting our setups ready and underway. Porscheman and Luna Zodiac here with you. Currently, only two drivers in the heat, which is heat 4 of Group 2. So obviously it's going to be a 1-2 for these two, regardless in which order they finish. Porscheman is a genuine Porsche driver in real life, and Luna Zodiac genuinely really drives me up the wall in real life. So I'm sure these two will be desperate to get each other battled out. Both these guys pretty quick, so I'm expecting a pretty close battle between these two here. So let's get things underway, and let's see how these two fare with just a mano battle. So as we get lined up on the line now. And we are go underway, and Luna getting a great start. Porscheman getting just left a little bit behind there, and Luna darting for the Joker straight away. And Porscheman also doing the same. So Porscheman in the outside curb there and not managing to get the car to rotate. So Luna getting better exit, but he goes very wide initially, and so does Porscheman. Porscheman looking just like he's going to avoid him there, but both get the Joker lap done on lap 1. Coming into this downhill section, Luna getting that car around, over rotating nicely low. Porscheman just a couple of seconds behind him at this stage. So he's going to hope to try and keep him in the distance. Really more than anything, he's going to try and not get any damage as Luna goes very wide on that downhill. Porscheman sticking a little bit more to the inside. So Luna preferring an outside line and swinging back and trying to cut the late apex as he gets the back of the car down. That's the first time I've seen that so far at Hell RX, where he's actually managed to maintain the back of the car down there over the jump. Porscheman just comes up over. Already looks like he took a little bit of damage there in that last lap. So he's going to be struggling to try and catch up to Luna now, who's already got a considerable lead. But again, these two not really battling for position here, because the points are already in the bag. So quite happy just to get some practice and get some experience here, and just find out what they can actually do with the car, where they can throw it round. And how it's going to fare in today's weather conditions. So as Luna comes up to cross the start line for the beginning of lap 3, Porscheman just coming through the that left-handed section, just coming through into the last corner, tight right-hand uphill, quite a steep uphill. Car tries to bog down the lot there, and up over the jump, not managing to taken enough, quite a lot of speed off for the damage he's got there, so just a little bit of a bump on the front fairing, but doesn't look like it's taken too much in terms of suspension damage on that one. Luna coming up now to this fast section and trying to get the handbrake heavy there, taking a very wide line there, using the banking of that corner to try and get the rotation in for the last corner, and slows right down there. So looks like he struggled with getting it to overtake, and how he's getting the back of the car to do that is beyond me. It must be suspension settings that Luna's got running, but each time he comes up and over that jump, it looks like all the way to the back of the car. So we'll have to talk to Luna and find out how he's doing that. That does look spectacular. It does look like he's doing pretty well for him today. So in terms of lap times, currently these guys putting in Luna 42.7 and Porscheman of 45.1 respectively. But in the last lap, 44 for Luna and 55 for Porscheman. So that damage currently playing a part in current lap times, and front and back bumpers now taking a good wallop in there for Porsche, actually missing that front bumper in its entirety. Luna doesn't look like he's taking too much damage. Doesn't look like he's taking any damage whatsoever in this race, so still kept managing to keep that car clean. Good clean line so far. Maybe want to watch in this race so far for the knockout stages for Luna. Even keep that car composed and maintained. It will be different to see how he manages to get the car around with other drivers out on track. There's going to be 6 in the grand final, remember, so 2 more cars out there on track than you would be seeing if we had a full complement. So a little bit more fast, a little bit more furious as Luna comes on the last corner on lap 5 now. Decent amount of power though, not bogging down. Again, the back of that car sitting down and the front lifting up. Porsche a few seconds behind as you see him coming back onto the track from off road, so that left-hander there taking a few victims. It does look like he's got a bit of suspension damage there, so the front end of that car crabbing a little bit now, and that is going to make it more difficult. So he's just trying to keep it off the walls, I think, at this stage. Again, a good lot of points scooped up here, getting second place, so doesn't mind the damage too much, seeing as it doesn't actually cost him anything to repair it for once. So I'm sure that isn't the case with his real life Porsche. So coming up over into lap 6 for Porsche Luna onto lap 7, and actually coming over the last corner, so not too different on track, and Luna starting to showboat a bit now, and whether that's going to pay dividends and whether that's going to pay he's going to pay the price for that if he gets a bit of damage, but currently managing to showboat successfully and JDMing it all the way around this track as best he can. Porsche just trying to keep it together now, just trying to make sure that car comes in across the line, that he does actually get a finish, and he does not score with a DNF. Just comes into through the last corner for his 7th lap. Luna on lap 7 coming into a similar section into that tight left-hander, taking a bit of a tighter line there, which we've not just seen him do so far, as he's full power down there, getting it sideways across the jump. And again, the back of the car down first as he comes across onto lap 8, over rotating there, bit of gymkhana. He's actually really going for the showboat as he tries to take it round the monster sign once, back on track, and away we go. So that is really really showing you who's boss here today. Porsche will be coming up onto finishes lap 16 seconds behind currently, despite the showboating from Luna, as Luna's coming down now through the T1 section, fairly quick sector. If you manage to cut the apex, and Luna losing it there, so whether that's going to make him pay for that, as Porsche is now 12 seconds behind and closing rapidly. But Luna manages to get that back round, not too much damage at all told. But it has seen Porsche drop to 10 seconds behind him, as Porsche struggles again with that left hand corner, very difficult corner, wants you to turn in tight initially, and then all of a sudden the corner opens up and falls away. As Luna comes round the last corner for the win, I think it is indeed, and Luna for the win on lap 8, and Porsche will come in second place. Just 8 seconds behind him all told after some showboating, but Luna really looking like he was enjoying himself in that one, and making the best of a depleted grid. So that is our our heat 4 for Group 2. So we'll be back with you again after a short break as we keep an eye forward on the guys we saw again in Heat 1. So we're back with Flush Epic, Fraser, Jiggly Jello, and East 1974 will be coming up next. So we'll try and get that brought to you as soon as we can. Okay, as we get underway here again at HellRX in Norway. We are just coming back on board, with Luna and Porscheman 962 for race 2 of Heat 4. So we've got a second version of this race to go around with just the 2 drivers. Though these guys will go around here just one more time and just try and sort the order out. I suspect we might see a little bit more of the same, but you never know. Porscheman assures me that there's a couple of diff settings that he plans on tweaking between that race and this race, and Luna intends on making sure that doesn't happen and he manages to get to showboat again. So we'll see what happens. Big talk from both drivers, but let's see how it plays out here today. As we get sorted in the box and go trackside. So to get ready for the lights to come down here, we will be under starters orders. And we are go. So that is green, and Luna getting a decent start, but Porscheman sticking with him this time. I think both going to go for the Joker again. Porscheman takes a better option, so Porscheman going for the standard route this time, coming into that left-hander. Again, really struggling with that left-hander, struggling to get the back end of the car out. Potentially think he's trying to get the car to behave on that corner, a bit like a road car because the car falls away, but it's not really possible to get these little RX lights to do that. As we see Luna coming into shot behind Porscheman there, a few seconds behind him at this stage, but closing that gap really quickly as we see him go very sideways there, and Luna really getting the most out of that little RX light car. Here comes there, does clip the barrier though, so that's a bit of damage, but very minor contact there as he just straightens the car up. And Porscheman looks like he's not going to slow yet, but going for the Joker this time, managing to take the outside and getting that good rotation on the car initially there. Rounded power down, so a nice Joker there from Porscheman. Brings him back out into second place as we come into the second half of lap 2. So just coming through time in sector 1 on that downhill. Like I said, nice quick downhill section, but you want to be early on the handbrake and early on the brakes to get the car to rotate round. A nice bit of banking on that corner makes it nice and easy. But again, a lot of these corners do fall away, and is that Luna that's been the first victim there of that inside wall? I think it might have been. He's potentially just clipped his front end a little bit though. It's taking him a couple of seconds off on just an over rotation. Certainly allowed Porscheman to catch up a little bit. A couple of seconds in it now. As Porscheman gets round turn 1 successfully. Lots of power down, and see if he gets into turn 2. Again, just that front end running a little bit wide into turn 2. If he could just get that turn sorted, I think he pretty much have this track nailed. But Luna's certainly not struggling with that corner, but it does seem to be struggling there with getting the car back on the track a little bit. So maybe he just dropped that car into neutral and missed a gear or something then. So that will happen when you're trying to showboat a bit, and when you're trying to play around in the car. You do end up getting a bit fingers and thumbs. As the guys come into what is the start of lap 4 now. Get into the jump, and that little CSF livery RX light car of Luna's there. Just get the back end down there, like he's got bricks in the back of it. Porscheman's a few seconds behind, so dropping about a second in that last lap, but certainly still staying with him, not a million miles away. All it's going to take is one mistake from Luna, and certainly not quite the showboating that we saw in the first race, and going quite as wide in that corner. So being a little more reserved, I think, on this one, Luna, just trying to make sure that he gets points in the bag. But whether we'll see him maintain that throughout the race, I don't know, as he goes very wide there. Again, using the banking on the penultimate corner, and trying to get it all the way sideways around the last corner, which he does quite a good job of. But Porscheman taking a different route, so that's a fresh line that we see there from Porscheman. Not quite sure whether the race director is going to allow that. It does depend on speed. You've managed to take enough speed off, so it doesn't see that you're gaining time. The race director won't give you a corner cutting infringement, but it is a fine line that you're walking there by, trying to cut the track and just play with that. So still a couple of seconds gap in between Luna and Porscheman, not really growing and not really shrinking at this stage. So Porscheman looks like he's got to grips with that car. Just in terms of lap times from these guys in our second race between these two, 42s and 43s respectively, a little bit lower actually in this race. So the guys benefiting from the experience in the first race as they come through onto lap 6 here. So Luna managing now just to put a little bit of distance in between the two cars, as we see both cars exit and enter turn 1. And Luna get a great entrance into the turn 2 there, managing to clip the apex with the nose of that car. Now you've got to be careful on the rubbers. As you can see, a lot of the rubbers are ridged on the inside of these corners, and if you get that wrong, you take the just the wrong angle, pops the car up and starts to throw the chassis round. It really takes a lot of speed off the car. Managing to get that nailed quite comfortably this time from Luna. Porsche that striking yellow-green livery, the edge livery there. Great last corner there from Porsche, managing to get all the power down there. Again, the car does bog down a little bit there if you don't get that corner right, or if you don't turn into the corner properly or too early. It ends up shooting you very, very wide. So certainly a better lap coming from Porsche on average here. He goes a little bit wide there, so that'd be the curse of the commentator. But on average, I think his lap times are certainly coming down over the course of this race. Don't forget, we are actually in sunny conditions, so the track will be melting as Luna just clips the inside there with his nose, but it looks like it was more of a brush contact than anything else. As he comes through, it's the start of the last lap now. Just a 6-second gap, as opposed to a 46-second gap, which was last time. And he thinks about doing the Gymkhana, but thinks better of it. So just very sideways into turn 1. And you see Porsche just coming in there in shot in the background. So a comfortable win, a comfortable race here for Luna, it looks like, in race 2 of Heat 4. As we come down into that quick section and the long downhill bank corner. Managing to keep the car tight this time from Luna, and see if Porsche gets in the same. Cutting the nose off it, will run a little bit deeper if he's done so. And just taking the cones out there, so taking some of the track with him onto the memento for his time in Norway, I think. And coming through into the penultimate corner, so that will be Luna across the line in first. And Porsche just been in it there. Just in the penultimate corner, just over rotating slightly, which is very easily done though as you come through that last corner if you put a little bit too much beans into it. And Porsche will come across the line in second place. So that is it for Heat 4. We'll be back with you shortly with Heat 5 and the guys in that. See you soon. Hi, Lucky 2000 back with you, and we're just getting underway for what is Heat 5, which should contain Flush Ethic, Fraser 1803, Jiggly Jello, and East 1974, but because of null attendances and the way that works out, unfortunately, Fraser, Jiggly Jello, and East 1974 are not in attendance. So Flush Ethic is by default the winner in this round, in this heat, sorry, for both races. However, because he wants to get some time on track and he wants to get some practice, what we're going to do is we're going to sit on board and go around a little bit with Flush Ethic, see if we can try and get some track experience, maybe do a bit of on board and leave the commentary and just try and let you get a little bit of the feel for the track from a driver's perspective. So we'll try and get this underway. Like I said, he gets all the points, so this is just completely just for a little bit of fun, a little bit of practice for him. So hopefully he'll try and bring you something a little bit of special if you stay tuned. and as he comes into the last corner, nice and easy, nice and steady for Flush Ethic, and that's it from our driver's perspective. So default win there for Flush as he's in lap 8. Me and Flush will get full 12 points for this heat. We will move into the next heat round, which is heat 6. We hope to have a much more full grid in the next heat, with just the way this is falling. It can't be helped the way the heat 5 is, and does help Flush Ethic get through to the next round. But it's a little bit more contested in the next heat, with Immortalis, Little God, Nick and Connie may not be present, but Flashman certainly is. So throughout the fall we'll be racing in heat 6. And as Flush Ethic just manages to bin it just before the line and does a full 360. So full 12 points there for Flush Ethic. We'll take a little break from that, get the next drivers from heat 6 into the room, and we'll be back very shortly. Hi, you're back with Lucky 2000 with at FluxMotorsport TV. We are just about to bring you Heat 6, which contained Immortalis, Little God, and Porscheman. Nick and Con couldn't be with us this evening. So in that group we've got Immortalis, which was a double race winner from the previous heat, Little God, which was a double heat winner from the previous heat, and Porscheman, who placed second twice in his previous heat. So both the guys come in with 12, 12 and 10 points respectively, so tied coming into this heat stage, as it were. So the guys have just got a couple of minutes to get the setups done. Let's get myself ready. And a bit of project cars to glitch in there like we expect. Okay, just readying up on the line. So just about to get underway on here. As the lights go green, 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 and a bit of a slow start there from all the guys really. Immortalis getting away in the Dirtfish livery in front, followed by Little God, who aka Steve. Porscheman taking the traditional line as the other two guys take the Joker there, and it's Little Steve that comes out in front. So Immortalis went in slightly in front, but looks like Little God got the inside in that Van Dutch livery, should I say. And both the guys really sideways coming into turn 3. Immortalis not quite getting the power down on the exit and just cutting the nose off the apex a little bit, but both the guys look like catching Porscheman, and Immortalis really ditching to the inside there, so having to come out and re-enter that left hand corner there with the wall. Is very nearly getting a contact with the wall. As we see Little God now right on the back of Porscheman. Is Porscheman going to take the Joker this time? I think he does indeed, so Porscheman hits the Joker. And he's going to come back out in third place here, so he comes back out in third place. Immortalis jumps up to second, but all three now have done the Joker. And Little God managed to run away a couple of seconds into second place, so this is exactly what Immortalis did not want. Little God managing to get away with a bit of a run, because he does seem a little bit unstoppable once he gets there. 40 point something seconds that Steve's been getting so far around here today, so possibly one of, if not the quickest driver on ice that we've seen throughout this competition so far. Immortalis not really having the practice here, so been in the thick of it at work, I believe, and not had an awful lot of time on track. So he's come into this a little bit unprepared. Certainly seems capable in that little Dirtfish livery car, as he gets very wide there and getting the front onto the apex. Like I said, the ridges and knobbles on some of these apexes are not to be trifled with, so you've got to be very, very careful. Porscheman about 6 seconds behind, just keeping that car tight. Doesn't look like there's any damage, so just keeping it together at this stage, trying to capitalise on any mistakes that happen with the guys in front. And just coming into lap 4 now, so fast and furious in the first few laps of this race. All the guys have completed the Joker, and it's Little God, or Steve as we know him, who comes out on top as they come into that really tight left-hander. So Steve managing to get around there without clipping the apex. See if Immortalis manages the same, and he does indeed. So both the guys manage to get decent lines through that corner, one of the trickiest corners on this circuit at Lånkebanen. I believe it's pronounced Lånkebanen, or HLRX as it might be known a little bit better to you and me. And I believe that is Little God going round there, so it looks like he slowed up there a little bit. Don't think it's a full over rotation, but he did look like he went round a little bit, and that gap there from 4 seconds drops to 3 seconds, but it looks like he's opened it back up again, so the ability there to be able to just extend that lead as and when he needs to, really paying off here for Steve. Immortalis just coming through into the left hand section again. Looks like he's nailed that section now, not managing to clip the apex on the inside and then upset the car. Again, I think that was potentially just a little bit of a practice needed just to get a feel of the car underneath him, but certainly looks like he's that way now. As we see Porscheman falling back 18 seconds behind Little God. Again, car's in good shape, doesn't look like it's struggling too much, but he does look like he's still struggling to get the front end down on the car. So the front end of that car looking like it's proving mighty difficult for him today, but certainly not so for Little God, who is all the way around in the corners. You can see he's pulling that handbrake, getting the car exceptionally wide, almost getting the rear of the car to try and go around the corner before the front does, or certainly almost in a line, and then putting all 4 wheels down and trying to get the traction from all the wheels at the same time, which is part of why you see the car's bogging, I think, as he comes through there, just at a risk of doing that there, but just clips the apex on the inside and gets away with that, all the power, as we see Immortalis just snagging the inside of the wall there. So that is going to be a bit of damage, but on lap 7, just coming into lap 7 it will be for Immortalis now. Not too much of a concern. I can't see that causing too many problems at the latter stage of this race. Lånkebanen coming into that final long right hand section now, just as he comes through the quick back section, through the dip, well clear of the wall. As we saw Porsche there just coming up the that steep incline for the final turn, which Lånkebanen is now at as he comes across for his final lap, just coming through. So this is lap 8 over the jump for the final time under full race conditions, not choosing for the showboating, thinking better of it. Is that a difference between how serious the guys are taking it, and is that an indication for what we can expect in terms of people winning, or will it be the day for the showboaters? Will we see some of the guys that are just having fun in the snow come out on top here? And we all do like an underdog story, but I think more often than not we'll see practice makes perfect, as Steve comes around the last corner for the final time and over the line. So that's yet another win for Steve, and it looks like it's going to be second place for Immortalis, who's again coming around that second to last corner, keeps clear this time, keeps his nose clear, and around the last corner for the last time he will come in second place. Porsche now just coming up to that long right hander, getting the car around, looking like he's got the nose to dip in there nicely in the back of the car to rotate nicely. Maybe a little bit late in the day in this race. Just seems to get better as the track seems to warm up and the sun seems to come out. So maybe that's something to do with times for Porsche that you can look at if you manage to get through to the next stages. But we'll keep you posted on what we're up to with how people are going to progress through into the next stages, as we know a little bit more about the group stages, just coming through to the last heats now. So we have Lånkebanen in first, Immortalis in second, Porsche in third place, and that sees race 1 for heat 6. So we'll go straight over and get started into race 2. And you're back again with Lucky 2000. So just coming into race 2 for heat 6. So back with Immortalis, Lånkebanen and Porsche, who will be fighting it out again for this heat and trying to get as many points as possible. And just after this heat's finished, I'll give you just a roundup of exactly what it's going to be. So these won't race again for the qualifying heats of the competition, and we'll be able to get a good gauge of what the next round qualifiers will look like. So just a couple of minutes just to get the final tweaks to the setup, Probably not an awful lot to change in between race to race, race 1 and race 2, since the conditions are identical. So just waiting on Immortalis now, just to have a final word with his pit crew. I think he's trying to suggest anything that he can do to try and get his launch in front of Low God. We'll try and get this underway here. So as the guys start to line up. So it looks like Immortalis is at the back of the grid for this one, and Porscheman and Lil God will start on front row. Not an awful lot between it. The guys are very closely placed together. As you see me and McToasty just sat there, just at the side behind that 4x4 pickup, and we're away. So it's green, 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 and Immortalis getting an absolute rocket of a start. So is he going to go for the Joker now? He's got that. I think he is. He's straight for the Joker. No, he's not. So he's not. So him and Lil God both going around, and Porscheman taking the Joker this time. So it does look like Porscheman's taking completely the opposite tactics from these two, trying to find a bit of a niche. And Immortalis actually still in first, and these two are going toe to toe. So that's T try and make a look at the inside, and he does a bit of a nudge there, so that is minor avoidable, but it's certainly not a massive contact. Doesn't look like there's too much damage there as the cars come together. But it has let Little God just come in front, so Steve just managed to get his nose in front there, and Immortalis will be fuming with that. So these guys coming from road racing, not used to getting contact with each other. A lot of the guys won't be used to this argy-bargy, and Little God has been putting the practice in, and he's well proficient in exactly what you can and can't do with these cars. So as they're coming round turn 1 into turn 2, Little Steve out in front again, just about got away. Immortalis did get a blistering start though. But he's now dropped to it a couple of seconds behind as Little God goes very, very sideways there. Manages to get the power down, but runs touch wide for what his normal line is. Immortalis just manages to get a bit more traction at that corner and pulling the gap back down to under 2 seconds, back to 1.5 seconds now. So these guys really going toe to toe, not a lot in it. It's just down to one mistake in between them. Bear in mind these two have both yet to do the Jokers, so let's see if we can get it done on this lap. And it is indeed, so that is very sideways. Triple pull on the handbrake there, I think, from Steve. And Immortalis follows suit, so that's Immortalis now also done the Joker. And what's that done in terms of a gap to Porscheman? So 7 seconds is the gap. He's just coming past the exit of the Joker now, whereas Lil Steve and Immortalis are just coming through that long downhill right-hander. Immortalis getting it very, very wide there, and it looks like there's potentially been a bit of an issue there. Yeah, it does look like there's a bit of time lost there, an over rotation into that left-handed corner there from Steve, but managing to maintain up, going up into the last corner, pulled it back to over 2.5 seconds now. So over rotating, really an issue on these cars. If you send it just a little bit too hot into the corners and get the car to come just ever so slightly round too much, the amount of power that you've got to put back into the car to get it corrected is going to steal a lot of the time from that lap. So 11 seconds between the first and last place so far, so not a massive gap all told, but again Porscheman struggling to get the front end of the RX light car down there. I just wonder whether we'll start to see that loosen up just a little bit as we go through the races as we have in the other heat races. So just back on board with Little God now as he comes round turn 1, I believe it is turn 1, and Immortalis just behind him there. Looks like he's managing to get that car pushed, but he isn't keeping just as quite a quick a lap as we have seen him do. So last lap was 1:42, so we know he's capable of cracking the 40-second mark. But it doesn't seem to be able to get under the 41 so far. But Immortalis' lap on the last lap, certainly managing to get down there, the 141.287. So Immortalis definitely finding some speed now. So let's just take a look as they come across the line. Immortalis not quite as good a lap that time, but then again neither was Lil God. So both the guys putting in similar lap times. We're starting to edge away from Porscheman as we are just into turn 2 of lap 6 now. Just coming over that crest. Got to be careful with that crest. You don't want to get the tyres on the wrong side of that crest, just in the bump, just in the centre of that section. Again, the ridges on there do want to take the car out, but if you put the tyre on the inside, you don't just get the ridges, but you get the rise from with essentially a lull in the dirt. and that could really flip the car up. So that's the last thing you want to do when you are only a second or so in front of the guy in front. As we see Lånkebanen coming round now, turn 2, lap 7, Immortalis trailing just behind him, just a couple of seconds, and Porscheman again dropping back down there, so even further back now potentially. I think he's just taking it easy and just trying to pick up the points, stay clear of any damage. As he comes out around the last turn, again struggling for traction, and you can hear that the engine's bogging down a little bit, but it does look like he's put the bricks in the back of the car, a bit like Luna has, and he's managing to get the back of the car sat down there. As Immortalis looks like he's now picked up a little bit of damage on that front end. So is that a clip he's having the front end? It's dropped him back to a couple of seconds now, and climbing a little bit, so maybe he's dropped half a second in that last lap from the damage that he's picked up. Doesn't look like he's affecting the handling of the car too badly, but he certainly isn't going to help his chances catching catching Little God on this last lap, as they are now on lap 8, as Immortalis runs very wide. And you see what I mean about him coming on the inside of that curve there, as he starts to really bounce the suspension. As Lånkebanen comes around the left-hander, avoids the wall for the last time, up and into the final corner, full power down, and I think there we have it. So 40.9 was his lap 7 lap, I believe, the end of lap 7. So yet another win for Lånkebanen, looking very strong contender in this one. I'd say how he fares against some of the contenders in our Group 1 category, and we'll bring you exactly what's going on in that Group 1 category as we get to the end of Group 2. So Porscheman still yet to come over the line as he comes through the second to last corner, nice and sideways, and again looks like he's fine getting the front end of that car down now towards the latter part of the race, but does struggle when it's colder a little bit earlier on. So that is it for Heat 6, and that saw again Lånkebanen bring it home in first place, Immortalis in second place, and Porscheman in third, just as we saw in race 1. So over into Heat 7, we will have Luna and not Samuel, and potentially one or two others depending if they have yet turned up and are attending this race. So we'll be back with you shortly for Heat 7. Do stay with us. Okay, you are back with Lecky 2000, and we are here for Heat 7 of our winter special event, One Night of Hell. This time around we have got The Source, Lunar Zodiac and Not Samuel. So Lunar Zodiac obviously saw him doing some showboating in his first race, but The Source and Not Samuel unfortunately couldn't quite make it on time to their first race, so both these guys yet to pick up points. So Luna's in a strong position for this one. Oh, sorry, apologies, Not Samuel picked up third in his first heat, my apologies, so he's currently got 8 points. So The Source will be looking to do as best he can in this race, to try and get as many points as he can. I'm sure that Lunar Zodiac will be looking to try and keep them all behind him and get some more showboating done and put some more bricks in his boots. So we shall get this underway without further ado. And as the guys just line up on the grid, we are about to get the lights down already as we come away. So it looks like The Source has got away just about in front of Lunar. Actually gets better traction. He goes head straight for the Joker as The Source, or Ben as we know him, in that blue and pink livery there, just managing to edge his nose in front, and Not Samuel just coming up there behind him. Samuel having to hit the brakes there so he doesn't touch him. Lunar just coming, joining the track just behind him after he's taken the Joker. So very, very hard handbrake there from The Source, but that does seem to have catapulted him around that corner. So maybe that's a good trick there. Some of the guys might be able to pick up off Ben there as they come into the last corner now with The Source in front, Not Samuel second, Lunar in third, but Lunar taking a look on the inside, not managed to get it there, but certainly has closed that gap up right up to the back of Not Samuel now. Bearing in mind that Lunar is the only one that's taking his Joker, but currently not registering. And indeed it has, so that is Lunar taking the Joker, Not Samuel now taking the Joker, so that's just going to come in through there. Now it does. It's leaving The Source all the way out in front, but is that enough of a gap in between Ben and Lunar behind him for him to get that Joker done and still come out in front? I think not. I think we're going to have to see how it goes here in this race. It's going to be down to any further incidents. Essentially to see whether The Source can get his car back out on track in between these two. It does look like Not Samuel's dropped off just a little bit behind Lunar there, not a great deal, as The Source comes over there and very much more front weighted that car than the black livery of Lunar's behind. As we know, Lunar's tend to rise at the rear as he goes over that jump, but The Source there nose diving, looking like it potentially might cause some damage there. Got away with it that time as they come into, again, that long left-hander, so that long right-hander as they come downhill, and difficult to try and get the traction, screaming the car in second gear there, as Lunar gets a bit squirrely there on exit. I'm just trying to bring you some more action where Not Samuel is. It does seem like to drop back a little bit. He's just come into that left-hander now, and takes a bit of a wide line there, just coming through into there. But Lunar and The Source still battling it out now. Again, The Source has got to take the Joker yet, so we'll just come into lap 4, it's half the race to done. But he's still got time to take that Joker yet. Is he going to try and take the Joker as soon as Lunar gets behind him, or is he going to try and wait till Lunar makes a mistake and potentially drops off? It could go either way. It's a gamble trying to do it that way. As Lunar closes the gap right up to him now, almost taking the car and T-boning him there just before he pulled the handbrake at the last minute. But certainly nothing between these two guys now as they're both sideways into the last two turns, which is essentially a drift section. As you come through the last two turns, getting a little bit too much on the exit there, I think, The Source, and allowing the gap to be closed up even further from Lunar. Around about half a second now as The Source now takes the Joker, so that's it. So he's jumped down the Joker now, allowing Lunar to come in front, but will he come back out in front of Not Samuel? He does indeed. A good way of it in front of Not Samuel. So that's lap 5 and the Joker successfully taken by all three drivers now. So this is it in terms of having to take any deviations from the standard track, unless it comes down to accidents. I think this is going to be it. So Lunar potentially taking another win here, and I think the decision is going to be, can he showboat? I don't think Ben's going to allow that. I think the gap's going to be too small and there's too much pressure on him for him to be able to showboat quite as much as he did in the other race. And as he takes some futuristic lines there going through turn 1, potentially we'll get a slowdown for that track up there as he's almost to get off track there for turn 2, but getting the car around nicely and getting some of the power down. Might have had to dip to gear 1 there just to get the power back into the boost range as it's screaming, hitting the rev limiter. And as the guys come through, 41.9 I think on our last lap from Luna was our quickest lap in this race so far. And the Source doesn't look like he's going to do a better lap this time. Nope, so both the guys down on the lap slightly this time. 42 falls slightly better from Ben behind 42.2s respectively. And Not Samuel also pulling the 42, so all these guys in the 42 range now as they come onto lap 7. And around that nasty left hand turn into the back section, around this right hander, and let's see if Ben can make some of that traction. That he got glorious traction on the first lap. Doesn't look like he's managed to get that exit quite locked down the same this time round, and I think that's going to be it as they come into lap 8, and that's not his. Luna's dropped back, so Luna went a little bit wide there I think, and he's over rotated. That's allowed the Source to come through, so a little bit of an upset there coming into the last lap, and it's going to be too much for Luna to close that surely. As you can see him coming wide there, so he's pushing hard now to try and get this back, and that isn't the way I think on snow really to try and get places. You've got to be reserved, you've got to be hold a little bit back all the time to make sure that you're not going to push the car too much and send her into the barriers. So 1.5 to 1.8 seconds here of a gap. I can't see him closing it up unless there's a mistake from the Source on this lap. I think it's going to be the Source that brings this one home. As he comes through onto the last corner, Luna just behind him, up to a couple of seconds gap now, and that's a win for the Source. So Luna will come over in second place, which he does with a throw across the line there, and then Not Samuel coming just through the last corner now over the jump and in for third place. So that's a definite bit of an upset there for our guys in Heat 7. What is that going to mean in Race 2? So we're back with you very shortly to bring you Race 2 of Heat 7. Stay with us. And you are back with Lecky 2000. We are here for, like we said, race 2 for Heat 7. So same drivers again, Luna, the Source, and Not Samuel. From our last race we obviously had Luna that was unlucky there on the last lap, or penultimate lap, and it saw The Source just come through on that last corner, coming into lap 8. And a nice win there for the Source. So 4 points there for Source, all ready to go on top of the DNS. So that's exactly the start that he wanted, and he's going to try and rebalance some of his points there. So be very happy with that and looking for exactly the same again. So just as we get ready here, looks like all the drivers are ready, so we will get this underway. Like we said, this is race 2, coming to you from live from LRX in Norway, and it looks like Luna's got pole position this time, and the Source and Not Samuel behind. So Luna potentially is going to dart and get that Joker first. Looks like he's got a good start as well, and Not Samuel getting a better start than the Source this time. So Luna immediately jumps to the Joker, and that's a bit of a smash there. So I think it's Not Samuel and Luna. Not Samuel waiting, doing the right thing, but that's let the Source get right away with that, and the Source has jumped straight into the lead. So not taking the Joker, the right option for Ben this time round. That V livery there, and he tries to get his 5-second lead capitalised on. So Luna and Not Samuel looking as much that they've both gone through the Joker and contact there, allowing for the guys to actually have taken the Joker. I've seen the guys go through there previously, cut the track or get contact with each other, and that's more contact yet for Luna. So that is both these guys with heavy damage by the looks of it now. And Not Samuel not even able to make it round. So Luna, I think he is thinking better of it and has potentially ditched that car for retirement there for that race. So looks like he's settled for 3rd place in this one, knowing full well that 4th place is essentially what he's trying to avoid. And after a win already, they should see him through to the next group stages. So Luna thinking better of it and just maybe composing himself for the next race. But it looks like it's the Source that's been a late entry, but looks like a promising contender here. So a little bit slow to start, but once he's out the blocks, well out the blocks, and he's come through on on the last corner. So, and is that Luna there just crawling back? So I believe it is. So Luna's not out of the race yet. He's still in it, but he's heavily damaged. And I think he's just thinking about potentially just bringing that car home slowly but surely. Not Samuel still trying to push it though. Picked up a lot of damage, and that front bumper is hanging off the car, but still not enough to get him to take his spot out as he comes through into turn 2. And maybe some of that damage they're really struggling now. Try and get the traction at the front end. Looks like it's crabbing a little bit at the side going through that corner as he comes and slows down as he goes past Luna, with these two guys already coming into heavy contact with each other already, as he takes a little bit of the wall though, Not Samuel. So lap 4 now for the Source though, as we are halfway through this race. 42.9 seconds currently the best lap, and I think that's possibly going to be round about the best times that we see is from the Source in this lap, with the amount of damage that the other two guys have picked up. I certainly can't see any faster laps being put in by the damage car Luna. He does not have the opportunity of a pit. There is no pit stop at LRX. It is a straight dash to the end. As the Source comes through in the penultimate corner. Nicely done though, not too sideways. Everybody else seemed to take a little bit sideways in that corner. Source managing to keep the car quite level there. And again, just a kick up from the back wheel, so maybe that's to do with the rear damping or rear suspension. And just as it leaves, just a little bit of kick from the back shocks there, just seemingly tending to tilt the nose down and make it look like it's going to dive bomb now, like a stucker. Just coming past what I think was Not Samuel though. Sorry, my apologies with Luna there. Not Samuel still going strong. Coming into turn 1, 12 seconds behind the leader, and just coming into lap 5 himself. And that gap is actually growing in between the Source and Not Samuel, as you would expect. But Samuel looks like he's enjoying himself here. He's certainly not racing for position at the moment, but it does look like he's fully enjoying himself in that car. And that is the black livery of Luna there, just missing the entire front end of his car, thinking better of it and just letting Not Samuel through as to not cause any issues or cause any accidents. So good etiquette being observed there by Luna. I'll just try and take a look at the Luna's car when we get an excellent interview for how much damage that he has actually got. The car is going exceptionally slowly there, and just a little buddy hop from the front wheels as he came across the line there. So, yep, just tickling home almost like it's in the home mode. As we see the source just tangling with the bump on the inside there of the rubbers on the inside. As a Scandi flick we see there into turn one, and I think that potentially is a bit of showboating from the source now. So this showboating is certainly getting infectious, and the guys are starting to really enjoy the time in the snow. As he goes on the inside there, very dangerous that. See cars flipped from going on the inside of that corner there. He stays clear of the rubbers on the inside of the next apex and into the fast back section, up over the hill, and it's definitely showboating now. So the back end of that car getting so much more sideways than he's done previous laps. I think maybe you'll see his lap time increase a little bit. Yeah, 43.5, so having a little bit of fun with that, I think, Ben, now as he comes into the last lap. 15 seconds behind, we've got Not Samuel. Hasn't picked any further damage up, I don't think. As he comes sideways into that corner. And very sideways, again, drifting, I think, now just for the pleasure of it. As both the guys, I think, just coming past Luna again for a final time. So, long right-hander for the source, just coming into that. A bit of a uneventful race he lived for the source. It's exactly what he wanted, exactly what he was after. After a late entry into it, and didn't pick up any points from the first heat in both races. I've seen that flipped on its head, and him picking up a first place in the first heat, and now a first place in the second heat. So well done to the source. Great race there from Ben. And Not Samuel just coming into that back section now, just downhill, managing to keep the car in line despite the damage to the front left-hand suspension there, and that bumper flapping around in the wind. As he comes up the last corner sideways and manages to get the power down over the line for second place. So Not Samuel currently taking second place in that heat, so a bit of a difference from the first race. And Luna will take third spot. So that's our 1, 2, 3, 4. Our second race in heat 7. Only heat 8 to go, and 2 more races there. And we'll be back shortly after we've got the next drivers in. Stay with us. Hi, you're back with Lecky_2000, and you are here with us for Heat 8 of Group 2 at HLRX. So in this round we have a couple of people that are unavailable to attend, as we've experienced in our previous round. But the guys we have got in this round are Andrux, who had 2 wins by default in the previous round, and Old Smokey, who was a little bit late to start last time. So we're just about to get underway for race 1 of Heat 8. The guys are just about getting the setups done and ready to go. So we'll get this race underway, and this will be the final heat for Group 2. And we'll let you know exactly what we're coming up to with our knockout stages and who qualifies to the semi-finals. So without further ado, let's get this underway. So Andrex and Old Smokey will both start on the same point in the grid. It's just the 2 drivers, and the lights are underway, and away we go. So they are go. Old Smokey just getting a little bit of a better start there, pulling off the line, going straight for the Joker, and it looks like Andrex has thought better of it. So Andrex actually into turn 2 now, well before Old Smokey. So Old Smokey there, a couple of seconds behind. Doesn't look like it was the best Joker, but doesn't necessarily mean an awful lot. That sometimes the Joker just tends to catch you out on the way in, but it can do that for every driver. So you kind of get the same results from all drivers coming through. Andrux yet to take his. But Old Smokey 4 seconds behind at this stage. So currently I dropped a couple of seconds back. So whether that was an over rotation coming into the previous section and gone a little bit wide on the section before that. So Old Smokey really struggling to try and get the front end held together on that car. And Andrex into the Joker now, and well up onto the side there, so potentially breaching track limits. Whether it actually lets him have that, yes it does. So coming out the Joker there, both cars done by lap 2. And as you can see in there in the Augsburg Swiss livery there, brightly coloured livery, very bold, very chatty, and certainly working for Andrex at this stage. So he's extended that lead now to 6 seconds. Old Smokey just coming through that long right hander. Looks like he was able to get the front end locked down and the back end rotated through there, and he's certainly getting very sideways into the penultimate corner as he whips that car around, struggling on the last corner though. So this is problematic, symptomatic of that last corner. You come in hot from the previous corner, try and hit the brakes hard, it doesn't work, you lock it up. Oh, and Old Smokey just losing it there on the jump. So but he's straight back on, almost foot straight in. So that is going to affect his ability to try and close any gaps now between himself and Andrux. So potentially has resigned himself to second place here with that damage. And we just go back on board to just see what kind of effect that's had on his handling. But certainly lost all the front end. Yep, so that's going to make him push through the corners a lot more. Certainly going to struggle to get power down there. And let's just say we try to take the jump. There's the end of lap 3 now for Old Smokey. Looks like it looks a little bit springy on the suspension. You're really getting left off some of the minor undulations on this track. And again, very difficult over the jump there, so it looks like it wants to try and rotate him, but Old Smokey not done yet, still keeping his foot in there to try and get that car to behave. Sure, if he belts it in quite enough places, it'll eventually do what he wants. We just got back over to Andrux. So Andrux currently 17 second lead, so I think it's just a matter of course now for Andrux, and he can take his time a little bit, get himself familiar with the track and how he wants to. He's perfect, his ideal line to be in the race. Never goes that way when we actually get there with several other cars on track, but whilst you've got the opportunity, it makes sense to try and get your best, quickest lap time and get the most practice that you can, and essentially treat it like a time trial session. As he comes through that right-hander, lap 5. Good traction there on exit of that corner. Hear the engine revving. Not bogging down at all though, as he came from second into third gear. Good lines there, so you can see that little bump really affecting both these cars. Didn't look like it was quite affecting the cars of Luna and Lil God quite as much, but much more balanced on the jump from Andrux, and not managing to lose it on the exit of that jump there. So Old Smokey just coming into the back section. I'm just going to stay on board with Old Smokey, just try and see what he does in this section. Managing to get the section before him right, but really struggling with this corner. Struggling again to try and get the front end to stick in there. Maybe a dab of handbrake might be optional. Potentially, maybe he's not got his handbrake mapped in this, or maybe there's a problem with it. So certainly struggling to get the back of the car to come round. Okay, into turn 1. Currently a 25-second gap between himself and Androx. Androx currently on lap 7 as he comes through turn 1 himself. Power down, just dipping into second gear there. He's hard into that left-hander. Nice and clean through there. Just touching the apex, not too much on there. Again, you don't want to hit the crest on the inside of that corner. Just a little bit of cut through lap 7. So cleanly, steadily done. He's going to be catching Old Smoky up here if Old Smoky doesn't get a wriggle on. And Old Smoky looks like his car's managed to take that crest, that final jump over the finish line a little bit better now. Potentially that's due to the damage he's caused to it. I don't think the car was designed like that in the first place, but certainly seems to be taking the jump a little bit better than it was in the first couple of laps. So hopefully Old Smoky will be able to get that under control for race 2 and get a better shout at the action. So Androx currently coming into similar section, just coming through the back section, just catching up to Old Smoky. I don't think he's going to lap him in this race. I think that'll be it for Androx. Just as he comes through onto the penultimate corner and into the last corner and over the line. And the win for Androx. Old Smoky's got another lap to complete. So another 40 seconds left in this session while Old Smoky continues to battle with the elements, continues to get that car to try and behave in the snows. You see the fire spitting at the back end there. Still not a car that you can't respect. There's still a car to be reckoned with. An awful lot of power and an awful lot of grunt in these things. Not quite sure whether they would set off quicker than a Formula 1 car, but they're certainly in that category and are no slouch off the line. As he comes into the last corner there, just a few seconds left in the session. And just about getting it around that last corner there. And sideways across the line. So that is race 1 from our last and final heat 8. We'll take a very brief break while to get the drivers ready for the second race, and we'll be back with you very shortly. Welcome back to race 2 of Heat 8. It's Lucky_2000 again, and we're here for one night of hell for our winter special event at FluxMotorsport TV. Old Smoky and Androx are about to get toe-to-toe again for race 2. Drivers are just about ready, and we're about to get underway for starters' orders. So race 1, Androx won by a clear margin, but Old Smoky looking like he's got the grips of that car towards the last half of the first race. So Hopefully he can do better this time. And we are green, green, green. And Andrux gets away first again, but not by a clear margin this time. They're both going for the same corner, so no joker from these guys too this time. I think they're going to try and stick it with each other. And both going into turn 2 together, but again struggling with the front end there on that corner. I think potentially just locking up, trying to avoid the back of Andrux there. Old Smoky, but coming into turn 2 again, really struggling to get under the first lap. I think that's characteristic of a couple of the guys that we've seen so far today. At the beginning of the race, they really struggle to get the front end of the car in, and towards the back end of the race, doesn't seem to be an issue. The car wants to turn in quite nicely. So we're just coming to the end of lap 1, and Andrux again takes the lead in this race. A few seconds, and I think we've had a bit of an accident there from Old Smoky, as he's dropped to 7 or 8 seconds behind again. Yeah, a bit of front end damage, so looks like he's tagged that wall on the left hand side as we come through. That wall can be treacherous, and it does cause quite a lot of damage when the guys do tag it, just because the angle that you're coming at it at. And Old Smoky there just going for the joker. It looks like he fainted for the joker then, almost didn't go for it, and then actually decided he did. So potentially not taking the best line there, and then going for the joker instead. Andrux 10 seconds in front. Both now taking the joker. So both these guys have got their joker lap completed. We just missed that a little bit, I think, from Andrux going through into lap 2. And Andrux there, maybe he's changed the setup for that car, so the balance of that car just different slightly as he came over the jump there. Certainly more rear balance this time. It does look like he's getting that car around a little bit better than he was previously, so minor tweaks being made here throughout the day, I think, potentially being made to that car, just to try and get him edging in front, which, to be fair, once he gets through to the next stage, he's going to have to do. The competition is going to ramp up just another notch there. It's not going to be quite as easy, and he's certainly not going to be given any default wins, I think, from the knockout stages once we get through to that. So just coming through into lap 4. It's about halfway through the race corner, 15-second or so gap in between Andrux and Old Smoky, and Andrux steady as he goes at the moment. Old Smoky a little less, so we see him getting a little bit squirrely again there, just managing to avoid that damage and the inside of the wall just by turning out, but did have to snatch at the steering again to get it to come in, and we can see the car just looking a little bit unbalanced there from left to right as he comes over that jump, and deciding that he doesn't want to take the corner quite the same way. Did still slow down for the corner, but rather take his own lines, I think, on turns 1 and 2, Old Smoky, with the front of that car not behaving for him and the damage that he's currently suffering for it. So just coming into lap 5 for Andrux. Again, that shouts blue and luminous yellow livery. You're not going to miss that on a day in Norway if you see that bobbing across the snow. And just coming into our last corner, Old Smoky just going wide there, managing to avoid the barrier and get the back car kicked around to try and get the power down, and some of the power delivered in a forward-facing direction rather than a sideways direction, but straight into the sideways action again into turn 1, and just a bit of debris there on track as we see the cones that I think Old Smoky was a culprit for knocking over previously, and I think that's Smoky's new line there. So that's the way he's found quickest around that corner with the damage, but certainly not the ideal line around that corner. As Smoky comes through onto the back section, all sorts of shapes of sideways, hitting cones and pegs as they go. And is that Andrux with engine damage? I think it is. And I think Andrux has got terminal engine damage. He's currently not moving on track unless he's been disconnected from session. It certainly looks like Old Smoky's going to win this one. So a turn up for the books for Old Smoky. Andrux almost giving him the win. So we will try and stay with him there. Unfortunately. Oh, there we go. Sorry, apologies. So the game just catching back up with itself and just returning Andrux to his rightful first place with a 23-second gap. I do apologise for that. As you can see, it did look like Andrux was sat on track there with his engine blown. Clearly not. He's 24 seconds in front and he's on lap 7 as he comes into that final right-hand sector. Lots of dirt on that sector, least amount of snow probably on that sector, but still not an awful lot of grip as the ground is still icy. And he comes through very, very wide into the penultimate corner. and basically just using all of the track now and trying to get the car to drift as much as possible, I think. As he comes through onto the last lap, so lap 8 for Andrux, with the gap of 24 seconds to Old Smoky behind him. And just take a quick look. Old Smoky's completely lost the front end. He's battle scarred, but he's certainly still going, and he's still putting in under a 50-second lap. So there's a couple of seconds drop there, but he's certainly still pushing with the old girl. As Andrux coming up to a similar sector as him now, just coming through the penultimate corner. As Old Smoky comes over the line for lap 7, Andrux will be coming over for the win for lap 8. Not quite the lap times that we'd seen in some of the other guys' races. A 41.3, certainly a better lap there with that last lap from Andrux, so pulling it right in at the end. Old Smoky still a way to go. He comes into turn 2 here. A better entrance into turn 2 on the last lap. So it looks like both these guys are getting better laps on the last laps. Again, I think that's something to do with the sun and it beating down on the track, and just loosening up some of that ice just a little bit and allowing for a little bit of traction to be gained. As Old Smoky bites the wall, and not what he needed on the last lap, is just as he was starting to come together. A bit more damage there just to take home with him. So Old Smoky will come over the line in 2nd place. And that is it for race 2. So we'll be back with you shortly with our qualifying results and essentially who's going to be taking part in our semi-finals. So do stick with us to find that information out, and I'll be back with you very shortly. Okay, so you're back with Lecky 2000, and I'm here for your semi-finals. So we've just progressed through from our heat stages through to our semi-final stages. So the guys that have progressed through to our semi-final stages are Immortalis, Lunar Zodiac, Flush Ethic, The Source, Old Smoky, Lil God, Non-Samuel, Porscheman, and Androx. And in our first of the semi-finals, so in our first of our Group 2 semi-finals, as it were, we have Androx, Little God, The Source, and Old Smoky. So these are the guys that are going to be battling out. Essentially, this is a semi-final stage, so this is a knockout stage. So if they do not get through in this one, then they won't be getting through into the next stage at all. That's it, they're out. So it is, it matters now at this stage. And essentially, the way that it works is the top 3 from this group and the top 3 from semi-final 2 race will go through into our final. So just give them a moment or so, just make sure that these guys are ready. We've got our broadcaster and commentators ready, and we'll get this thing underway. Okay, so we are on the grid and we have the lights, so it looks like we've got Old Smoky and The Source on the front of the grid, but let's see who gets away first. And we are green, green, green. It is indeed Old Smoky. Old Smoky gets a blistering start, so the other guys bogging down. Old Smoky has not gone for the Joker, and he's not been clattered either, so 3 guys going for standard route this time, and Androx is the one that's gone for the Joker. So we are 3 cars wide, near enough into turn 2. The Source getting all the way into the front, Old Smoky just behind him, and then Lil God just behind that. So we are nose to tail coming into turn 3, and it looks like Steve's going to try and make a move down the inside, so that's 2 cars in one manoeuvre. That is a great manoeuvre by Steve, and The Source and Old Smoky just come together there, so both the guys are trying to prevent Steve from coming through, and both coming together with each other in the mayhem. So Androx there just coming through as well as Old Smoky went wide into the last corner. So that's Little God up into first, The Source in second place, and it looks like we've just had another Joker lap done there. So Little God actually getting his Joker lap done, and he comes back out in second place. So we'll see that when he comes back on the grid. Old Smoky dropping down to fourth. So at the midpoint on lap 2, we've got The Source in first, Little God in second, Androx in third, and Old Smoky in fourth. And we just go on board with Little God as you see him all over the back, getting a little bit wide into the front open turn, and he's all the way round. So that is it for Little God, I think. He's round there, and he's going to be struggle to come back from that, but I think he's really going to struggle to come back from that indeed. I'm not quite sure with his Joker lap registered either. As we stay on with our leaders, so we've got The Source in front, just coming round turn 2 now. Just behind him Androx, and it is Little God and Androx have both set laps in. So The Source does still need to do a Joker lap, so it is really down to Androx and Little God whether they're going to be able to sort that order out, whether Little God's going to be able to get back past him, and whether The Source is going to be able to come back out in front of these 2. So with any luck, Androx is going to hope he can snatch this here, because we're currently in second place with just a second behind, and especially if The Source takes his Joker on this lap. Let's see if he does. Let's see if we can stay with him. And he does not, so not this time round. So standard route this way. Androx just behind him, like I said, just left in a second, and Little God catching all the time. So 3.7 seconds behind. I bet we expect that to fall. So that will have given him a little bit of contact. Yep, just front right hand corner of his bumper there as he comes around that long right hander. So that isn't going to cause too much of an issue, but it is going to just upset potentially how the car feels just under the surface value. So, but not really too much in sort of mechanical damage there. As we see them coming into lap 5 now, so over half our race gone. Only 2 of these guys done the Joker lap. Sorry, 3 of the guys done the Joker lap though, and It's just the Source left to get his Joker lap done as he slows right up there going into turn 2, and that allows Andrux to crawl up all over the back of him. And like we said, Steve's still coming 2.7 seconds. That's just dropped to second on that last lap. As we're into the second part of lap 5 now, coming into the back sector. In the quick sector, just trying to get the speed taken off and thrown in for that quick left-hander there. And the snakes into the right-hander almost immediately. And they are closing up these three here now. So we've got to be hoping that when the Source goes and it does eventually take that Joker lap, which it looks like he's doing this time round, so he is doing it this time round. And that is going to see him come back round just about ready where Steve is. He's coming just behind Steve, so it's all on Little God now just to try and catch back up to Andrux in front. And he's got just over a second, it's possible, but not too many laps left here now. Just coming towards the end of lap 6, the back section in lap 6, as we come into the penultimate corner, just grazing that barrier there on the way in, managing to keep it better this time round. Whips the handbrake for the penultimate corner, and still about 1 second behind Andrux. The Andrux doing well to fend him off, not seeming to let any speed out that car in the last couple of laps. Seems to have got it together here, so it's on him to lose this one at this stage. Slowing up a little bit into the turn there, and Steve carrying a bit more speed through that, but does carry a little bit more through the corner and struggles to get the power down a little bit more, and a lot wider into turn 2, Steve behind Andrux here. So potentially wider lines on the way in is how Steve's finding his speed, but certainly it's not phasing Andrux. He certainly doesn't look like he's mirror driving, and he's got his pedal to the metal. I think he thinks this is his. I'm pretty sure if he can keep his composure, it will be. So lap 8 now, just coming into the final lap. Andrux and Little God here just fighting it out. Not too far behind, we've got the Source. 4 seconds behind, so unlucky not to capitalise on that earlier blast out into the front, and Old Smoky in 4th, about 20 seconds back. But just coming through the long right-hander for the final time in our first of our semi-final races. Andrux is out in front, Little God is just behind him. Just about a second in it as they come through the very last corner. No mistakes there from Andrux, and it looks like Andrux will take it. So that is first spot for Andrux, second spot for Steve, and third spot will go to the Source when he does eventually come over the line, and he does indeed. Source over the line. Old Smoky will finish that up in 4th spot. So our first person that we are looking like we're going to lose for today is going to be Old Smoky. So apologies to Old Smoky, commiserations to him as he comes through the final corner. Valiant effort, and I'm sure we'll catch him in our next special event and out on track during our championships. But that's it for our first race for our semi-finals. We'll be back with you very shortly for race 2, so please stick with us for all the action.
normal. You try and get as much aerodynamic benefit from hiding behind the water. But what you're doing the whole way down is measuring the car and getting yourself absolutely crisply prepared